Everyone, my name is Srinivas Makam. In this demo, I'll showcase some of the Istio capabilities. So we have a 4-node Kubernetes cluster running in Google Kubernetes Engine here. So if we can see the details of this cluster, so there is running in US West 1B, and the master is running Kubernetes version 1.9.7, and we also have a lot of options we see regarding to stack driver and network policies and stuff like that. I've already installed Istio in this cluster, so let's look at the Istio components. So what we are doing is we are looking at the pods in the namespace Istio system, and we are looking at the services in the namespace Istio system, and we are also looking at ingress controllers in the Istio system namespace. As we can see, basically we can see the monitoring components, which are Grafana, Prometheus, Service Graph which is used for graphing the microservices, and Zipkin is used for tracing. And these four are the primary Istio components. Some of them are control plane components, some of them are data plane components. And for each of the Istio pods, we have the corresponding services associated with it. So we have already deployed the application. So let's look at what are the things that are running in the application. So if you look at the pods running, this application is composed of 4 microservices. One is the details, the product page, ratings, and for the reviews microservice, we have 3 versions of the reviews microservice. And if you look at the services that are running, we have the 5 services, out of which one of them is a Kubernetes system service. Other than that, we have the reviews service, for which we have 3 versions of the reviews service. In addition to that, we have an ingress controller, which is exposing this complete application, which is the front end, to the outside world. Let's look at what Istio rules are created. By default, there are no rules that are running. If you look at the application at the ingress controller endpoint, so this is the application that comprises of all the 4 microservices. If we refresh multiple times, we can see that there are 3 versions of the book reviews service, version 1, version 2, version 3, and that is getting load balanced. It's an Istio rule that basically we hard code all the review service to go to version 1 of the service. So for that, we will create a rule saying that all the accesses goes to route version 1. So once we create this rule, we can look at the router rules. So this is how the rule would look like. So what we are saying in this case is for the destination name reviews, we are redirecting all the traffic to version v1. Let's go back to our application and check if all of them, so if we do refresh, we see only version 1 of the application that is running. In addition, we have 3 monitoring services deployed. Let's look at the graph for this application. So this graph gets automatically created by the service graph container that is running. In addition to this, so this is the Zipkin trace application that is running on port 9411. So if you look at one of the one of the spans, so here we can see that these are the 4 microservices. It will tell us the flow of the request that comes in from the product page all the way to the ratings page with the time taken for each of the microservices. And then if we look at the Grafana visualizer, this is Istio provides most of these parameters. Istio in combination with Prometheus and with Grafana shows this monitoring. Here we can see a summary dashboard as well as per service dashboard. So for example, in this case, this shows the review service, and it also shows how many of the requests goes to version v1, V2 and V3, and it also shows the successful and unsuccessful HTTP response codes. To show the Grafana dashboard working, what we will do is we'll send a continuous pool of 50 requests that is going to this product page, and we are seeing a response code of 200. If you go and look at our application in the Grafana, so what we would see is the success rate is 100%, and in addition to that, if we see the request, all the requests are coming to the version V1 because we have currently hard coded all the requests to go to version V1. So what we will do is we'll create another rule so that we say that for a particular user we want to direct the review service to version V2. So if we look at the rules associated with this reviews test file, we see that for user JSON we want to give to version V2 of the review service. For everything else, it will use this other rule which says go to version V1. Now if we log in, we are not logged in as user JSON, so that's why if we do a refresh, we still see version V1 of the service. But let's just sign in as user JSON. So once we sign in as user JSON, we can see that we are seeing the version V2 of the service. We'll sign out back, and then we are seeing version V1 of the service. Let's say that we have version V3 of a service which we want to deploy to some number of users. Actually, in this case, for example, I want to deploy version V3 of the service to 50% of the users. So I have, this is the rule which version V3. So now if you look at the reviews distribution, we say that version V1 has 50%, version V3 has 50%. To check that the distribution is working fine, so let's do a 50 service ping to the endpoint, and let's go back to our service and make sure that both version V1 and V3 are simultaneously happening. So here green indicates V1 and the blue indicates V3, and we should be seeing here that both version V1 and V3 are simultaneously going up. And also if we look at the the success rate, we should see both V1 and V3 simultaneously increasing. So after we have reviewed that the Canary V3 is working fine, let's go and upgrade all 100% of the traffic to use version V3. Let's look at the reviews, the rules currently. We can see that version V3 and the weight is 100%. Now if we go back to the application, so if we refresh, what we should see is only version V3 of the application, of the reviews application that is running. There's many other capabilities like fault injection, security and authentication. We'll cover some of these features in the next demo. Thanks for watching.